I found this particular story personally quite heartbreaking, in fact, because it centres around the former royal known as Prince Harry, the Duke of Sussex. Until as recently, the uncle of Kate Middleton, the Princess of Wales, spoke on national television over here in the United Kingdom. He basically said that Meghan put a spanner in the works. And when you think about it and you look at the videos and pictures and all of that sort of stuff, prior to Meghan, clearly Harry was very happy, or at least more stable, or a very good actor. Who really knows? Because quite frankly, we now know there's all sorts of litigation regarding the international best-selling memoir that he had, Spare, which apparently he may have not been now telling the truth. You see how confusing Harry has become. But what's interesting is this. If you recall, of course, when Harry recently came over to London on that flying visit via Las Vegas to pick up yet another award in high heels alongside John Travolta, he spoke, of course, about His Majesty the King, King Charles's illness. The interviewer for ABC probed, of course, and said, what is the situation? Harry famously said this: "That's not up for discussion, that remains between the King and I." What was interesting was this development. Let me explain. Morning, nice to see you as ever. Thank you so much for joining me today, and as ever, nice to have your company. I don't know, as I say, it's a strange thing, isn't it, when you look at this particular story, because you do kind of think, of course, Harry did have a close bond, at least with his father, King Charles. What emerged really with that book was seemingly that he wasn't that close to his stepmother, Camilla. Now, some people might say rightly so, given etc. But of course, I believe Camilla, having met her on a couple of occasions now, tried her very best in very difficult circumstances. You can look at each way you want with Princess Diana, but if she'd not have removed her own royal protection officers, then seemingly she wouldn't have had the same problems. You get the picture. And of course, she wanted to row her own boat. If you wanted to point the finger at anyone, one might suggest, of course, Martin Bashir, who openly lied, the former BBC journalist. But the piece I wanted to highlight really with you today was one that was passed to me by very senior sources inside palace walls, because you would have thought at this given point that it's a very difficult time, isn't it, for His Majesty the King. Still, of course, performing royal duties, very much in the public domain and reassuring one and all. Lessons learned, of course, from our wonderful monarch, Queen Elizabeth II. But when he was asked, what really was the situation, let me tell you this: Harry was given very limited information, very limited indeed. And worse than that, I've been told, and as ever, we have to say allegedly, Harry really only finds out the updates on his father via the world's media, simply because no one dared trust him with the information. What a terrible situation to be in. The source pointed out to me that, obviously William didn't want Harry anywhere near for fear of him disclosing anything regarding the Princess of Wales' recent health setback herself. But more importantly, His Majesty the King only had limited time with him for the simple reason he didn't want to be probed and prodded about the finer details of the health. Now, you can't really, think, yes, wise move by His Majesty the King and indeed William and Catherine. Could you really trust them, given the fact that Harry and Meghan seemingly are ready to sell, discuss, and of course communicate anything for the almighty dollar? One might suggest, of course, that recent interview with the ABC interviewer, well, it really was, what could he say? He really didn't know anything. But as one source pointed out to me, this is a dreadful state of affairs between a young son and, of course, his father, His Majesty the King. At this point in their relationship, they would have hoped to have been incredibly close, supportive, and more importantly, by his side. Seemingly, in a few short years, whichever way you look at it, things have gone perilously wrong for Prince Harry. And while he says he's going to be coming back over here to the United Kingdom to visit his family, it would appear it's going to be quite limited in what and how long and who with he's going to visit. It is a developing story. When I know more, you'll know more. Neil Sean in the very heart of London.